Hello, welcome back to the second show for the Britsdontjump podcast. I'm your host, Nathan Doyle. If you can tell, I've moved away from my kitchen with the clock in the background. If anyone on YouTube is watching, I've been demoted by the wife to a makeup table. So if the conversation dries out with me next guest, you never know, I might start a get ready with me video. I do a cracking eyeliner, a bit of contour. Who knows where we'll head, we'll see what happens. So, our next guest, I'm delighted with this one, pro recruitment scout. He does deep dives on Twitter, which we all love. He is the master of threaded tweets and an SLB show podcast guest that is, well, actually, it's a good show. Don't go to it yet. Finish this with us and then go on to that after. But it's brilliant if you need any insight in British basketball. Welcome, Louis, to the show. How are you doing, mate?
Yeah, very good, thank you. It's good to be on. I love what you're doing over here, so yeah.
Thank you very much. Mate, I'm really buzzing to have you. Every time, anyone who follows British basketball will surely know on Twitter the dives you do, you looking into people from the D1, D2 in America. So it's I can't wait to get some insight from you, pal.
Yeah, man, I'm glad to dish it out.
So I guess we'll just start with the basic stuff. I mentioned in my first podcast, we're really like to get an insight on people's journeys and how they got into British basketball, especially in a country where it's not the primary sport. I'd love to know how you actually just got into it.
Yeah, so like to take it back a little bit further, like I first got into basketball because I think it was like a Christmas present. I think my mum got me like 2K11 or something. No, it was 2K10. I started 2K10 with Kobe on the cover. Started playing that. I really got into basketball through that. Really, like obviously our school had a basketball club, so I was doubling with that. I'm 26, so to kind of age me with that. I'm like during school time, I'm obsessed with basketball. Obviously, like typical British issues with like getting court time and stuff like that. There's literally like, because I live in St Albans, which is like a kind of like outskirts of London in Hertfordshire. We don't really have much of a basketball presence here, to be honest. So it was literally just school, playing in school and stuff like that. So there wasn't really an outlet to get further into like British basketball. Obviously, I'm like massively into 2K. Like I'm never really watching the NBA, to be honest, because it's always like awkward times and stuff. But I'm always following it. I'm always watching like podcasts, like because this is how I got into scouting. Listening to podcasts like Nate Duncan and stuff like that, like NBA GM stuff. Always listen to that, and then eventually, a couple years ago, I kind of stumbled across like a BBL YouTube stream. I can't remember which game it was. I just kept on watching it, honestly, because the first game you watch in like British basketball, like it's because it's so convenient to us, right? Because obviously you don't have to work it around. The time difference, etc. So, and it was just like a fun watch. Obviously, I'm into basketball, mad deep. So there's that. I just keep on watching. I get into the BTR Discord, the older below the rim with pads and that lot. Get into their Discord. I'm on that every single day, talking smack, stuff like that. Like on there every day. I started getting into actually. Thinking about like how to write like scouting reports and stuff like that on the Discord, really, because people would, obviously you'd see a signing on on Instagram or whatever. People don't really know we're such a transient league, people don't know what's up. So because I previously used to look at like Real GM and like Basketball Reference and stuff like that to see like advanced stats and stuff like that. So I kind of had a prior knowledge. So I just write in Discord for the other guys there, and then eventually started posting on X, and I mean that's a huge ramble. So sorry about that.
No, do you know what it is though? But your journey is pretty similar to mine. Mine was the same. It was through an NBA game, and I think it might have actually. I can't actually remember, but the Kobe cover sounds familiar to us, so it might have been the same. Because I was the same. But with me, I've always watched NBA though. Like I've got the league pass right now, which is kind of ideal because you can hide the scores and it's so accessible. But like you say, if you wanted to watch it live, it's rough. Whereas, like you say, British basketball, it's there for us. And I think the first time you watch British basketball as well, if you're so focused on NBA, you're like, this is different. It doesn't seem like the same sport, but then you get into it and realise what's there. It's actually a really good product, isn't it? Like, it's enjoyable. When you go and you talk about your scouting there, you on about how you developed it. How tough was it to become accustomed to everything? Like you say, there's so much, like for me, you make us feel so stupid when I watch basketball now, because I'm like, oh, he just hit a 3-point shot, that's tremendous. Whereas you're onto the true shooting, the efficiency. How tough was it to get used to all of that?
Well, I mean, to be honest, because it was stuff like those podcasts I was listening to, man. Those were the things that kind of acclimatized me to it. Because I was just watching stuff like Thinking Basketball and stuff like that. And it's kind of weird, since I wasn't really watching the NBA much, or FIBA, I wasn't really ingrained into that kind of like... Do you know how people talk about basketball? Like bag work, stuff like Kobe's like mad shot maker and stuff like that. So it's kind of weird, because of my like unique route into basketball. It kind of framed my mindset in a different way. So I was always like thinking about stuff like true shooting percentage and stuff like that, how efficient like a play is, or different, how they play in different play types and stuff like that. Because all the media that I was consuming around the sport was basically that. It kind of acclimatized me to kind of getting into that, if that makes any sense.
No, it makes total sense. And now you're doing the scouting, like it's something you live for, like you really enjoy it. If you're watching a game and say you are doing one of these scouting reports, is there like a main set of attributes that you have to focus on? That, like, say for instance, there's certain things you can coach. So if you're scouting someone, you could go, well, you could improve in that area. Is there any main ones where you look and you're like, actually, that's putting us off the player because it's something you can't drill into someone?
Yeah, it's tough, because a lot of it, like in a professional, like practical setting, is kind of thinking about transference, how they'd fit for like a club. So you are looking at, like, let's say like Marco Antony, for example, like the new, I mean, I don't know why the media report says he's a 2-3, man. He's not a 2-3, but whatever. Basically, for specific teams, you need like a specific kind of player. So let's say that guy, what Stutel would have wanted is a 5-man who can, play out of like dribble handoffs, can put the ball on the floor, stuff like that. Because there's obviously, like, let's say in football, like the difference between like Aaron Wan-Bissaka and let's say a more cultured right back, there's different player types, obviously different skill sets or whatever. So it's about matching that to your team. And obviously, you want them to have some sort of athletic translation to your league. Like, they need to, be physically capable of, like competing against these, like, because we're getting a good standard of D1 guys in our league, so they have to be athletically capable. Which is why, like think about I don't know if you remember him, but Mihailo Jovicic, who played for Caledonia last year or 2 years ago, whatever. Remember him? Serbian guard. He just had a pretty good season. I can't remember which league it was in. But sorry, man. But
it's hard to keep up.
No. There's too much to keep up with. But he looked good in Europe. But in our league, it just didn't work. Like, another guy was CJ Jackson for Bristol. Like, it looked really good in EMBL, but in our league it didn't work because our league is so athletic. So you really need to have that like point in separation, but you didn't really have that. So that's a big part of what you look for.
Do you think the athletic side, so when you're you're watching D1 and D2, do you find, like, say, American imports? Because when I watch it, say we're watching Luka Doncic or Nikola Jokic as examples there, apart from where Doncic is dropping weight now, typically, while I'm making this point.
42-inch vert.
You watch them and you're kind of like, they're not the most I know Doncic could dunk when he was a bit younger, but Jokic, they're not the most athletic players. It seems like fundamentally they've got a good grasp on the game, but when you watch American players, there seems to be like more showmanship and athleticism. Do you think that just varies on continents? Do you think maybe the Americans focus on that side more than we do?
I mean, definitely, like the athletic development side of any sport. If you think about American football, etc., like their strength and conditioning side is just unparalleled. and that's why you get these ridiculous kind of athletes. Because you see like these stupid like Instagram reels of these like 15-year-olds doing mad stuff in the gym. Like
look at
mad.
Zion Williamson when he was in college. He was dunking.
Oh man, like he was mental. Yeah, like other countries aren't making that. So yeah, obviously there's that. But another interesting thing to kind of think about is like unrecognised aspects of athleticism. Like people kind of like you look at Luka Doncic. Traditionally, he is athletic. Like he's playing in the NBA. You have to be athletic to play in the NBA.
Yeah.
But there's stuff that these players like really do well that don't traditionally get picked up. Like James Harden. Like if you look at his step back, there's a thing called deceleration that.
Yeah.
A really good example is Aaron Wright in our league. Like once he gets into his gather and like his 1-2 step, he slows down so fast. It's really tough to because he's so like shaky, man. It's really tough to. So there's different types of athleticism and kind of an interesting kind of thing to think about in other continents. Obviously, we're playing football. Like these, like Slovenia, where Luka Doncic is from, like Serbia, they're playing other sports. Nikola Jokic was, I think, he was big into like water polo or something.
And he loves his horses.
And he loves his horses. So, but this type of stuff, it kind of builds like an athletic framework that kind of molds athletes differently than American athletes because they're, you know, American football, basketball. So, something to think about. Yeah,
no, it's definitely an interesting take. Do you think maybe that's something we need to focus more on in grassroots level, or do you think because we've got a British identity, we don't want to go and like we're not trying to create the NBA here? Do you know what I mean? Like it's not what we want. But do you think we need to keep the British identity, but at the same time at grassroots level, maybe work on that side more? So it's not just the fundamentals. Maybe there is like an athletic program where people like say what you're saying with deceleration. I don't know if you can teach that, but maybe work on these other aspects that maybe we're not looking at in the British game.
I mean, definitely. One of our only like international level guards at the moment, Jelani Watson-Gale, he had a massive football background. Like I think he said he was playing like football to a really good standard until like 15 or 16 or something like that. Like he was proper footballer. Like it's about. I mean, obviously we need to like because in sports development there's like picking up like talent identification. That's it. So that's a big thing. You need to be picking up these athletic, like gifted kids. But another thing is like when kids go kind of are at the college age compared to American kids, like their physical development is kind of behind. Because I'm watching like Tajani Parkinson like last year for Surrey. You know, he's really got his head on straight. You know, defensively he's really smart. You know, he's obviously a really quick guy. Like he's physically gifted, but like it's just the weight room part that's kind of lacking, I think. And I think that's kind of like a point of differential that it's kind of tough because because in America every high school has got like a crazy weight room thing.
Yeah.
So it's tough to emulate. But that's a kind of thing that I think we're kind of lacking a little bit too, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. I think especially because I love me American sports. Like I'll watch NFL and everything. And the other year it's when I got into like the college stuff and just how serious they take it though. Do you know, over here, like you don't. Obviously, you've got for football, you've got Sunday League, but that's not on the. Obviously, you'll watch it and there's no one watching except like pub players and stuff like that. And then you watch basketball, and like we used to go watch like because we had a really good team in school. I wasn't a part of it because I'm 5 foot, God knows what, and I couldn't play. But would go and watch, and there was never like the hype around it. Do you know what I mean? It was always football or nothing kind of thing. Yeah. Where I suppose allegedly it's the second most played sport now. I'd possibly question that. I don't know, but if we mention grassroots and we talk about that side of it, for you, is there? I know the Newcastle Eagles have the Newcastle Eagles Foundation, and that's brilliant. I know they're working on that, but especially with American imports coming over, do you see a clear pathway for these youth players who want to make it professionally? Or do you think there's nothing really there grassroots except hope you get picked up by some kind of talent scout?
So, see, this is like a huge part of my thing. So, to under 18 level, which is everything up to EABL, which is our like high school basketball, like centralized high school basketball program, basically. Everything up to that, I mean, to be honest. Like, before that, it's pretty bad. But out of EABL, we have, like, you see with Amari guys like Williams and stuff like that. We produce high-level guys, you know, but in this country, there is nothing, you know, post that. There's no sort of level of transition. The roster rules make it really difficult, you know, for kids to kind of make it. There's no real like long-term incentive for clubs to kind of interact with that, because everything's so short-termist. I mean, you got 6 imports to configure. I mean, I really don't mind the import level, to be frank. Maybe it could be 5, but like, the issue is post 18, because there's really nothing. Like, so in NBLD1 last year, it was literally only Edward Onya who was under 20 and getting decent playtime, and that's our second tier league.
Yeah,
so
it's not
great, and yeah, no, that's not tremendous. If you look at other countries, like in France, there are a ton of players playing in NM1 and Pro B France, which is their second and third tier, and they're proper pro leagues. They're playing good minutes, you know, and we don't have anything comparable. And our second tier league is semi-pro. You know, it's not fully pro. So if you look at depth of pyramids, they're not getting that. I mean, that's not equivalent experience, and so players aren't even playing there. Yeah, go on.
The question probably is then, how do you? It's easy to, like, obviously we can talk about problems, but at the same time, like, would be nice to put solutions out there.
Yeah.
But obviously, I know finance is a thing, so obviously finance would come into it. We need more money in the game to be able to pump it into that level. But say the money, out of nowhere, the money's became available. For you, what would be the best thing to put in place to make that better? So, for instance, in football, let's talk about football for a second, because that's a clear pathway. You can now be scouted in the womb, 9 months past birth. All these kids are getting... I hate it, by the way. I try not to rant about it, but I might here, because you've got kids getting picked up at the age of 6 or 7. It's ridiculous. And they're put into this professional setting where they can't enjoy the game. And by the time they're 16, they've been in the game for 8 or 9 years, and they've lost the love for it because it was so professional, and they couldn't find the love for the game, and they couldn't express themselves. So I guess it's finding that balance. So for you, what would be the balance in basketball if we could put something in place where there's an easy transition from a younger age, but not making it so intense? What would work for you personally?
So my thing would be create an under 23s league first and foremost. That's the easy answer. You need to keep players in a professional setting, and not have them, you know, either feel like they have to go to America. And I've talked extensively about how I don't really like the majority of American options. You know, it's you know, if you look at the hit rate, it's not good. It's not good at all. And then that mental health issues and stuff like that, it's not great.
Yeah.
But yeah, you need to keep them in a professional setting and allow them to develop. And then, you know, like there needs to be some sort of like age-related rule in the SLB. Like, that's clear to me. There needs to be some sort of, because you need to incentivize somehow, you know, because teams like Surrey, you know, they kind of need to be rewarded, because Surrey are kind of basically doing it off goodwill practically. They don't really have to be they don't have to be playing. I mean, if they wanted to be more competitive, it'd probably be better for them to not, you know, be playing to Johnny.
I was going to mention later on, and it's kind of moving away from the subject, and we'll come back to it, but Surrey were one of my favourite teams at the end of last season, like, especially with the players they had. You've got Mervyn James, Jalen Ray. You had that, like, them set to, obviously I'm missing out a couple of players here, but I just thought they were refreshing to watch, because like you say, that if they wanted to go for it, they could bring in 1,000 American imports, or bring in the American imports and like really bulk out that squad. But it's just so refreshing to see a team like give the players a chance, do you know what I mean, and actually compete. And do you know what it is? They did compete in the second half of the season.
Yeah.
So if we do go back to it, sorry, because I did totally change that point. In an under-23s league, like you say, how do you incentivise that, I guess? How do you incentivise? Because I suppose the SLB at the minute, especially, you're trying to strike a balance, aren't you? Because you've got your American imports, because naturally they do bring a bit more quality to the league. But do you feel like with the British players in the squad, are they there to make up the numbers at times, do you feel like? Because that's what it feels like to me, because...
Yeah, don't get me started on this.
Please start. Honestly, rant away.
So, okay, so yes, practically the 10 to 12 slot. So let's say, I mean, he luckily Rob started to play him, but guys like Victor Nduku, Corey Hill at the end of the bench in Bristol, they're just there to make numbers. Literally, there's no real like long-termism kind of thinking in, you know, let's have a development plan for these guys. I kind of find it ridiculous, really. Corey Hill is a 16-year-old who, well, 16, 17, whatever. But he put up like, what, I think like 15 points a game in D2 or something ridiculous, NBL D2, and he got 1 minute the entire season.
That's cool.
Like, which is crazy, right? That kind of speaks to the mindset and like kind of the environment we're dealing with here. Like they're just expecting
respectfully as well. Like, and it sounds awful, but were Bristol, if we're being honest, were Bristol ever going to compete with Leicester? So maybe you're not saying, right, give him all the time on the court. Maybe 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Let him get used to the rotation. Let him get used to the playbook. Give him a chance, and then this year maybe you give him more minutes again. I totally get what you're saying.
Like, my thing is, like, Victor Nduku is literally one of our top talents in this age group, regardless. Like, even across like America, you know, he put up 18 points a game in D1, NBL D1. And he only started getting minutes literally last, like, what, quarter of the season? Like, I'm thinking, like, develop him in a year's time, because he's locked down to Loughborough, so he's there for a couple of years at least, right? Develop him, man. Like, in a couple of years, give him a chance. In a couple of years, like, he could literally be an import level player. Like, and then he probably wouldn't be on much money at all. So that cost efficiency. Well, that's my argument.
He was one of the, actually, again, later on, he was one of the players I mentioned. I would like to ask, like, what do you think his next step is? Do you think he gets more minutes? Do you think he'll be allowed more minutes in the rotation? Because I think
so. When
they mentioned him the other day on X, I was excited by it because, like you say, he's a player where you look at him and you're like, God, he's got all the talent in the world. If he's given an opportunity, do you think he's going to get given that opportunity this year, especially with Bristol being in the ENBL?
Yeah, I hope so, man. Like, because Rob Paternoster hasn't got the best track record with young players, like in terms of playing time. Like, I really wanted him to go to Surrey, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, fly, like, spread his wings, go elsewhere, get playing time.
I would love that.
I would have loved that so much. I just hope that Rob kind of saw what, like, the value that he can bring the latter half of the season, and just continue playing.
I think that's kind of the direction we're heading as well, especially because we had all the debate about, it doesn't seem to be a problem now, but we did have the debate about work permits being allowed, and he just feels like a very good option to build your team round if that's the direction you wanted to go. But I guess when we're looking at the longevity of the league, and that's still maybe they're more bothered about the here and now than the future, but I think you've got to strike that balance, haven't you?
It's just smart. It's just actually thinking about long-term development, man. Which is why I like what Surrey's doing, because they're thinking about. Because I mean, yeah, like in a couple years' time, these guys can. Because it's about value to, like, well, wages to the player's value. That's kind of the formula you're kind of trying to strike. So if a guy like Victor Nduku is literally there on a university deal, and he starts becoming like a proper, like, American level, import level player, you're saving like what, 3K a month?
A lot of money.
A lot of money. So that's my thinking, man.
Well, moving on away from the grassroots things, I think we've delved in that a little bit. I want to talk about London Lions roster a bit now, because I think this is possibly the most exciting bit of the season for me. I think it'll be a shame because it might affect the regular season performances, but with them being back in the EuroCup, is there any players, because I know there's a few fans online as well are saying, let's bring back Sam Decker. We'll want Sam Decker in the squad. If we're honest, guys, it's done. Get over it, man. We're finished with it. Let's move on. For you, who could step up and be that next Sam Decker for London this year?
Alright, so one player I really like, I think was a really smart acquisition, is their he's kind of like a 6'5" combo guard, which is kind of, for our league, that's huge. that's a huge player. But a guy called Cameron McGusty, I think that's how you say it, out of Legia, who's playing, which is like a proper like powerhouse Poland's team. They were also playing in the EMBL last season. Like he's a real, really cool player. It's like he creates really well downhill, man. Like he's like defensively, like he's just moves really well for a 6'5" guy. Like you like in Poland, you saw him pick up the one, which is really cool. Like he's just a really cool player. I think he'll do well. Like it's a step up to the EuroCup, but I think it'll be one of their key players.
Yeah, I've got to admit, like it's something I've really wanted to get into the EuroCup, but obviously with London being out of it last year, and do you know, there's one particular team I really want to watch, and it's not because I know any. I am pleading ignorant, like I don't know many of the players, but Galatasaray. When I see their fan base and just how much it means to them, it makes us just want more in England, like more people getting involved in England, because I would just love that atmosphere over here. Do you know what I mean? Like it would be unbelievable.
Nah, man. Like we saw it. Some of the places at EMBL was kind of trash. In EuroCup, when Glas were playing like Ludwigsburg and people like that, who have like a proper basketball following, it's really eye-opening to see. Because to be honest, Newcastle, like you guys do it really well. Like I think that's the best fan base in the league, to be absolutely frank. Or do have the most crowd noise, let's say. But
that might be because half the games are on a Friday night, like, but we'll not.
Yeah, Friday night in Newcastle gets a little bit live, but yeah, that's the thing British basketball's kind of driving to get to, right? Because we're kind of at a deficit right now. Like a lot of our fans are kind of a little bit more casual, a little bit more, we're a little bit more family orientated, right? It's not so much that hardcore support that you see in other countries that, like you were saying with Galatasaray in Eastern Europe, especially, that's going to be mad in EuroCup. Like that'll be eye opening. But that's the thing we need to kind of strive to build, and we're getting there, but it'll take time.
How much pressure do you think's on London this year then? Because if they can make a statement, get deep in the tournament, which I think, especially with it being the first year back, I don't see it happening, but say they do, what is like best case scenario for London to make a statement? How far is that in the competition?
So for people that are expecting London to do as well as they did last time, which was get to the semis, considering the kind of quality of the players they've brought in, I wouldn't really be expecting that. I think they've been a lot more sensible with the budget, let's just say. Last time they were spending on like Sam Decker, guys like that. I think they've been a lot more modest. I think potentially a little bit more smart with their money. But I can't say that I'm a massive expert at the EuroCup, but I'd kind of be thinking mid-table. Like if they get like a quarterfinals berth or something like that, they'd be good. But yeah.
Do you think they've got the depth to compete in both competitions, so in the EuroCup and the SLB, or do you think they're mainly prioritising the EuroCup?
Oh, they'll definitely prioritise EuroCup and the minutes of their top players there. I think considering the amount of money they're spending, they should be favourites for the SLB regardless of what they do. Like it should be 9 times out of 10 winning. But because obviously their depth pieces are going to be the British guys, right? Because it's obviously their import guys are going to be EuroCup level. They're going to be mad. But I think picking up guys like Solowadi and Amin Adamio, I think is really interesting. Like kind of more athletic defensive pieces that I think could work in a EuroCup setting. I mean, they're not going to light the world on fire offensively, but I think they've been making smart decisions on the fringes at the moment.
Yeah, I think you made a good point there, because I've actually seen a few people complain online. Well, not complain, but I've never seen them before, but they were talking about Ovi Soko coming back for another year, and to me that was kind of a no-brainer. But then I've never heard this before, but someone called him a celebrity, and I was like, well, I mean, I think he made some good. I know. No. It's like they're only bringing him because he's a celebrity, he can bring the crowd in. I was like, hold on. I didn't watch London Lions every game. Do you know what I mean? But I thought when he was on the court last year,
he was really
good minutes. When he came to Newcastle, my mum and my cousin went to watch, and my mother went to watch Ovi Sogo for all the wrong reasons. So if she tunes in now, mother, you're not coming back, all right? You're gone. But I thought he played some good minutes. He rebounded well. He got in the paint. He put some points on the board. He was physical. Like
I mean, that's the key thing.
Yeah, it's like, rotation.
Yeah, that's the key thing. It's rotation, what he provides off in his role, right? Because, you know, he's a physical beast, man. Like, I mean, the dude, he's built as hell, man.
Honestly, mate, like I said, I'm 5'6" at a push. I'm gonna be pleasant to myself. I want to say 5'6". So you're sitting at the side. I was watching the game. I was like, they're not that tall. And then my cousin at the end of the game, he wanted to go get the signatures and stuff. So I walked down. I say, Mike,
yeah, not
I was
smart.
like, oh my, you're tall. And then I looked at Ovi Soko.
That's your two guards.
Yeah, Ovi Soko was just walking over, and I was like, yeah, I think I need to get some stilts or something. I am very small. Like, the guy is an absolute unit.
No, he's a unit, and that's his value on the court. Like, defensively, like we saw a lot with London, they had Hadzebegovic on the floor. He's obviously does the stuff that he does. Like, he's really mobile, physical, does all the stuff you want, really. And then second unit, bring in Ovi Soko, and how disruptive he is defending the screens, etc. How disruptive he is defensively, how much activity he provides on the boards. You know, it's you know, as a second guy, that's a valuable guy. And I think defensively, he was one of the most impactful players in the league, I'd say, last season. I mean, that's kind of mad to say, but...
No, I totally agree. And you know what it is? I think as well, one thing that's so underrated, especially when you've got your second unit out there, is a leader. Someone, because sometimes if you've got your second unit out, points are going against you, things can get a bit heavy, and you just need someone on the court who's going to, like say, rebound, grab something, maybe not dictate play with his actions. He's not a playmaker, but like just help people out and be vocal on the court. I think that's a very underrated part of, like, not just Ovi Soko's game, but sometimes like a second unit player.
No, he just makes statement play. He makes plays he makes winning plays, right? He gets a steal. He chases for it. He dives for it, man. He hustles on the court. He plays, 100% all the time. He sets an example for other players.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be an interesting year for London for sure this year. But if we're going to move on away from British, because we did say this on the first episode, we said it's going to be a British basketball podcast, but I can't miss the opportunity to talk about... No one talks about NCAA with us, and it drives us absolutely nuts. So I want to talk about D1 a bit with like the lottery picks this year, if you don't mind. Because obviously, especially after the Olympics, everyone was raving about Cooper Flagg. There was no way in the world he was not going to be number one pick. But do you think he had some good performances and like really good performances during the year, but do you think, especially for Dallas after losing Doncic, do you think maybe there was a better pick for them in particular? Now, my favourite pick of the whole class, Dylan Harper. This kid, I think, you look at what he did for Ace Bailey. Like, Ace Bailey's a good player, but I feel like he's got the attributes to bring the best out of another player. Like, I think his playmaking's unbelievable. Do you think maybe in a team where you've got Anthony Davis, he's wanting to move to the 4, maybe Dylan Harper could have been a good choice there? Or do you think no matter what, you had to go for Cooper Flagg?
I mean, I'm saying, no matter what, you have to go Cooper Flagg. Yeah. Like, highest outcome player. I mean, the stuff that Cooper Flagg does is kind of transcendent, really. Like, the accumulation of the skills he has, kind of, like, if it all pans out, high outcome, he could be a star in the league. It's not really a good argument. Because Dylan Harper could also be a star in the league.
No, look, I'm playing devil's advocate. I do think Flagg.
But I think Flagg is first overall pick. But like you say, Dylan Harper is. I think he's gonna be a really good player in the league, man. Like, I mean, with his size and his dynamic ability downhill, man, it's gonna be. Yeah. It's gonna be crazy. And it would have fit well with Anthony Davis, but
that's the thing for me, especially if the move, they're on about moving him to the 4, and then so it kind of would have made sense. But at the same time, like he's going to be we think he's going to be a generational talent, Cooper Flagg. So it was one of them. Is there anyone else in D1 who maybe wasn't even a lottery pick or top 10 pick where you think? And he might not be in the NBA, he might be one to watch in an European league. Is there anybody in there where you think maybe there could be a star to watch out for? Is that a bit of putting you on the spot a bit, is it?
A little bit. Trying to think. Well, okay. So let's say a guy that hasn't got drafted. let's take it a little bit further down.
I'm happy with that. That's kind of what I was going for.
Yeah, a guy that I kind of really liked that I was kind of tracking a little bit is a guy called Steve Settle out of Temple. He's 6. So think about KD's frame. He's like 6'11", but like he's really skinny. He's like 190 or something.
All right.
190 pounds. I don't know what that is in stone.
I'm not good at that.
I do pounds.
Let's skip.
Let's skip that. But he's like this really cool, like massive, like really long wing that, like, he's a really smart guy. He shot 40% from free. I mean, it's kind of limited volume, but he shot 40% from free at 7 or whatever. He's really, like, he attacks off the catch like really quick. Like, he's a really dynamic, like, downhill guy. Like, once he like catches the ball, stuff like that. He's just smart. He operates in the offense really well. Like, defensively, he's like really quick. You know, like, he's an impactful defensive player. I just think he's going to be really good. So yeah.
One to look out for. Then we'll clip that for the future when he gets signed on a 5-year deal with the Lakers. There you go.
Yeah, once he gets the MVP, put it on.
We'll make sure you get the top money for that one.
Yeah,
there's one more. It's not quite, well, it's still D1 and 2, but there's one player I really want to ask about, and he's just signed for Newcastle, because I think we're seeing at the end of last season, Newcastle's injuries, we just kind of were really unsettled because we had such a long season. I think we surprised everyone with how far we went in every competition. Obviously, the addition of Pulliam was class. Shout out to Jalen Hunter and the Pulliam matchup every time they played together. That was, the way they went at each other was spectacular. We had Micah Corru, but at the end we kind of really struggled for rebounding. It seemed like we had no bigs on the floor, and we had to kind of fill that in with Will Neighbour occasionally and players like that. We've just signed a 6'9" centre, Brett Reed. Is there much you can tell Newcastle fans about him?
So, I did do a post recently about him, if I remember it off the top of my head. He's like a more mobile kind of big. He's really he's a little bit quick. Like, he can handle the ball a little bit, so you'll see him out on the perimeter, kind of doing dribble handoffs and stuff like that. Like, occasionally he can put the ball on the floor and drive. He got a lot of in Sweden for kind of like a really bad team. Like, he can do a little bit in the post. He's just pretty good passer. Like, defensively, that's kind of my question, because he's kind of like that Sweden team was not good defensively. Because I kind of watched him in the ENBL game against Newcastle, because he played for like Pleven or whatever. I don't know, man. I didn't like it too much, but I mean, I hope he's good. I hope he's good.
Like, obviously, like you say, he was in the ENBL, and it wasn't a great sample size of him. But you know that straight away, as soon as you see 6'9", you're like, oh, that's what.
Yeah, I think more. I think that's been inflated a little bit. I think it's more like 6'8", like 6'7". But yeah, he'll definitely play the 5 spot. He can't shoot, so.
Yeah, it's an interesting, especially. Do you know what it is as well? I think the destruction of the team now. Pulliam's gone, Okoro's gone. I need to see. So this is one thing about the SLB that does kill us a bit. It's the short contracts. You know, where like you feel where you can build for the future, and you're like Okoro and Pulliam. It's just coming together. You've got Seneca Knight on the wing. You know what? It's something to get excited about. We've had such a good year, and then you're like, well, we can build on that, and then next thing you know, Okoro's gone. I guess that's something I was going to ask you as well. So, Okoro was so perfect for what Stutel was building, a transition offense, so he gets down the court so quickly. Do you think now it's that easy to replace something like that? How do you find someone who's like for like, or do you kind of just hope for the best and just do your best scouting you can?
I mean, to replace a guy like Okoro is going to be very difficult, as you could probably imagine. I think the person who's going to play the 2 in your team is going to be Rayshawn Taylor, I think is his name. He's not really that. He's a little bit more of a shot maker from deep. He's not as quick or dynamic downhill as Mike. Like, in transition, he's probably more likely to pop from deep rather than what Akaru was. I think he'll be a smart acquisition. I think I think he'll be good. He was kind of in a lower end conference, the Ohio Valley, which is kind of like, so the assumption would be he's a little bit cheaper,
right?
So there's that. I think he'll be a really good scorer for you. I think Stuart's probably gone in a different direction there. It's not. It won't be anything similar to Mike. I don't think. You go.
I was going to say, like, I think the problem is as well, Koru just fit that perfectly. Do you know what I'm like? It's if you want to put in a transition offense, can you find a better player than Mike Koru to do it? It doesn't feel like you could. It feels like it fit too perfectly. So now I guess you've got to pivot on that transition offense slightly, don't you? It's not going to be like for like.
Well, he can definitely play in a transition offense. He won't be as good down, like, getting to the rim. But, like, Mike Koru is like a once in a decade, like, signing, man. Because the reason why you got him was because he got injured in Pro B France the season before, which I'd say is probably probably a little bit better of a league than ours. So it was kind of like a fortuitous signing. Like, his career trajectory kind of indicated he was going like this. He dominated Czechia before, so that was really a signing of circumstance rather than let's say you're Stutel and you see his CV like pops and CV and highlights popped on the table. You're just gonna snap him up. Like it's not really like you're not gonna think too deep about. I mean, obviously he does definitely fit the style, but you're not gonna think too deep about like fit and stuff like that. So potentially maybe Rachel was kind of somebody wanted more of. I don't know. Because they also signed. Because you also signed Mitch Clark, and he's much more of a threat from deep than someone that's very dynamic. He's really going to threaten much going downhill. So it maybe speaks a little bit more of what he's trying to do. But I don't know. I have to see.
You're not feeling as full of confidence, are you, mind? Maybe it's time to support another team. I wonder who the Leicester Riders are signing. We'll have a look.
I don't know. I think it'll be interesting to see because you do have some very interesting pieces. Like how it's going to fit together, I don't know.
I mean, there's still a long time of the off season left in the.
Yeah, you've still got a couple.
We'll definitely have to see who we'll pick up in the meantime. Right. Yeah. Well, to finish off, I've got a nice fun one for you because you are. Let's just call you a genius, eh? Shall we go for it? We'll call you a genius.
No, I can't.
Pressure's on, pal. You're now a genius. So, if we're looking, I've broke it down into 7 parts. So I'm looking for you to create the perfect SLB player. Actually, I've got it wrote down here as Prophecy's perfect player. Now, I thought that was really smart, and I listened to it back, and I was like, that is... You can tell I'm a father now. Like, that's a bad dad joke, that one. So I've got 7... I'll go through it with you again, because you'll not remember, but it's basically we're looking at IQ, physicality, passing, shooting, speed, handles, and defense. All right. So I've started with. See, I'll talk you through this. So I went for the NBA one. I've gone IQ, and this is if the last season and they were fully fit.
Okay. Yeah.
So I've gone IQ LeBron. I've gone physicality Zion Williamson, passing James Harden, shooting Steph Curry, speed De'Aaron Fox, handles Kyrie Irving, and defense Wembanyama. All right, so it's like you've got to have 7 different players. I think you can do it.
I can do it. Okay.
Let's start with IQ. Who in the SLB are you going for IQ?
Andrew Lawrence.
Andrew Lawrence. Speak us through why that is a bit.
I mean, just watch the guy, man. He's the wittiest. Think about Andre Miller, if you remember him from NBA. It's like Nuggets, Portland Trailblazers. He reminds you of him. He's just a really smart and wily kind of player. So.
Sees the game before it happens.
Sees the game before it happens, and he just makes.
Right, so then we'll go with physicality.
I mean, I would go Larry Austin, but is picking a guard there really smart?
If you think he's the most perfect physical for your player.
See, this is so tough. Like, no, what am I talking about? Raph Thomas Edwards, man. It has to be Raph. He's huge. Yeah, he's a unit.
I thought it was. I suppose when you're using one player each, I look at the kinds of like Charles Thompson and that as well, and I'm like, my God, there's so many physical. But defense is probably the one for him, right? Well, we'll see. Yeah. 3 passing. Who are you going for passing?
That's tough. Yeah. Man, I really don't know.
Just throw it could be a big. Maybe there's someone who gets in the paint and knocks it out for a 3.
Yeah, I was actually kind of thinking of a curveball one with Dame Adelekin. But I can't do that, man. I have to pick a point guard. I mean, okay, so he isn't the most he isn't the most likely to pass, but when he does pass, it's good. So I'm gonna go Ricky McGill.
I don't mind that. I don't mind that at all. Actually, that's a. I see where you come from with that one. He's one of my favourite. I love him and Prentice Nixon last year. If I'm looking for two players outside of like the normal, they're not bad at all. Shooting now then. Shooting's a pretty tough one as well, I think.
Briscoe.
Who was that, sorry?
Michael Briscoe.
Michael Briscoe. That's I don't think I would have went him either. I wouldn't have even thought, not that I wouldn't have went him, but I wouldn't have thought of that. That's a good shout. Speed. Right. I'm going to give you one opportunity with speed. This is it.
You want me to pick someone we've already talked about on this pod? I'm assuming.
I don't know.
I'm assuming. But I don't know, man. I'm kind of trying to think in my bag right now. Who's that guy on Caledonia at the end? He used to play for Sharks. I'm having a massive meltdown. Oh no, I'm gonna have to Google it, man. I'm sorry.
I was good. Well, I'll tell you what. We'll move on to handles while you're googling.
Handles, Jalen Ray. I don't even need to think about that.
No, I think that's very fair. And then defense while we're waiting.
Defense, it has to be Charles Thompson.
Yes, I think absolutely sus that.
He was by far the defensive player of the year. Right,
so while you're looking over that, you've gone Andrew Lawrence in IQ, Raf Thomas in physicality, Ricky McGill passing, shooting Michael Briscoe, handles Jalen Ray, and defense Charles Thompson. That would be a freak of a player so far. An absolute.
That would be a very weird player.
I think it would be a very weird player.
That would be a very weird player.
I do think speed's a tough. Like obviously, because I'm biased, speed's a tough one.
Because the thing is, yeah, can I just pick De'Aaron Fox?
Just throw him in. I just let's bring him to the SL.
Yeah, let's put De'Aaron Fox there, man. It's fine.
It's because when you watch it though, that you don't actually get to see them in a 100-meter sprint, do you?
No, you don't.
End to end in the course, so it's a pretty tough one.
From end to end.
I really.
You know what? I'll just say Chapman. Chapman. Screw him. Yeah, he's one of the best against the rim. Actually, no, Mackay. It has to be Mackay Ashton Langford.
You've gone for him then, have you? Ashton Langford.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is one weird player you've built there.
It is. I don't know how we play.
Do you know what
Charles Thompson defense is going to be a 5, but hey ho.
Better him, he'll probably end up in a hospital ward because I think his body's going to be that disfigured. I don't think he's going to be able to walk around normally, or someone's going to jump him on the street for being so weird.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be like LeBron James. I just made LeBron James.
Yeah, you should have just said LeBron James, shouldn't you? That would have been it, though.
Yeah.
No, well, that's everything, mate. I appreciate that. I think I've enjoyed your insight for ages. When I've been thinking of guests to get on the show, you were definitely one of the top ones because I just think your insight into everything is awesome. Like, I really do. I'm not just saying that because but I really do enjoy the 12 tweets.
Yeah, the tweet threads, infamous.
Oh, mate, keep them coming, especially in the off season. Because I'm not keeping up with all the I'm keeping up with the signings, but some of the players I don't. I'm looking up highlight reels, and obviously, if I wanted to, I could make a highlight reel of myself, and I'd look good for the SLB.
No,
you know what I mean?
On the highlight reel, man.
I'll put the hoop down to 3 foot and give you a few dunks, and then I'd be in the league in no time.
Yeah, man.
No, I really appreciate that, mate. So that is the end of episode 2 of the Britsdontjump podcast. So thank you again, Louis. I hope we can get you on in the future, mate, when things are kicking off a bit more.
Yeah, of course, man. I'm always down.
Yes, so if you've listened on YouTube, give us a like, share, and subscribe. And if you're on Spotify, I don't mind a 5-star if you want to throw one my way and give us a follow. I appreciate that, so I'll see you all later. Thank you very much.